Welcome back to part 2 of our interview with Dave Czeszewski of Perdoceo Education. Here it is.
One of the things that I was going to say to Chris, I don't even know if it's really that relevant, is that being a CIO or being an executive when the company's on the up versus on the down, and it's like he always talks about how it's easier when to build and grow, but when you have to like kind of shrink and tighten up and kind of get creative, it's a hard thing to do. And that's what we're all coming upon now, right? Because like now it's unfortunately, as much as like transformation and stuff that we want customers to do, the reality of the situation is budgets are going to get tight. Having cash is going to be important, and there's just so many variables we don't know. So that's what I was going to say about Dave, because like Dave's been there, right? He was there when like the company was, but when all of a sudden you had to get tight, you got to get, I don't think a lot of CIOs are ready for that,
Yeah. Well, I mean, certainly experience plays a lot into being successful today. Now, Dave, you mentioned when you were talking about, motivating people on your staff, but, you also mentioned something that I thought was interesting in motivating your vendors too. You talk a little bit about like, how that all plays into the mix?
Sure. Vendors are as important as your staff, I think. Not in a HR kind of a way, or benefits or, things like that, of course. But the way you treat your vendors will come back in a lot of ways, right? So I always use the example. I said, when there's a big problem and you know what hits the fan, are those vendors picking up the phone at 2 a.m., right?
Yeah.
So the common response to that is, well, we have a support contract and a toll-free number, and we'll call in and create a ticket, and they're contractually, obligated to support us.
Yeah.
Well, we all know that at 2 a.m, you're calling someplace overseas, and those people they don't know you from Adam, but your account executive does, and their managers do, and all the people that I meet in the business do, and they want to retain your business, and they want to also not look bad in the industry. So, but to get them to help you, you have to treat them. And one is fairly, and another is respect.
Yeah.
And a lot of times procurement organizations are there because sometimes IT people get too close with their vendors, and they're there to protect the company. I get that, but also the vendors need to know that you're gonna negotiate, you're gonna try to get the best price, you're gonna look at the best value, you're gonna look at the best solution. But once they know that it's a fair playing field and you're not going to throw them curveballs, and you're going to participate in reference calls, you're going to participate with other things in the industry with them. I think when you need that help, they're there, and I've seen that with with you guys. I've seen that with other vendors, and I've helped a lot of vendors along the way. Even startups, even a long time ago, and they all remember that, and it's just human nature, and you can't treat a vendor like crap. Expect help.
Yeah, I mean, we're all in it together, and it's better to think of everybody as a part of an extended and large team, I think, than adversaries. Go ahead.
On the other side, this week I got an email from a vendor that they were going to discontinue our service. I'm not going to say what the service is because I don't want to indicate.
You want to out them.
Yeah, but they're dropping our service as of April 18th because of COVID and the load on their system, and taken us to a new platform and 3x the cost.
Oh,
And they
geez.
gave us about a 2-week notice.
That is not a good partner.
So guess what? We're doing something different.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this also begs the question, and maybe it's a little early to ask this question, but, what are the lessons we've learned from this? I mean, what's the takeaway from here? Because I'm sure, we moved very rapidly to get things sorted, but, I'm sure we skipped some steps along the way to make that happen. I mean, what do we have to go back and fix? And, what can we do next time to make a response like this better?
You're talking about the response to COVID? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. There's a couple dimensions here. One is the business world has changed, right? So a lot of the strategy for companies were geographic dispersion. So people would have offices on East Coast, West Coast, North, South, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's going to be spread throughout the entire country now at home. So our productivity is good. Some groups are better than at work from home than work from work. So why not keep that going? And then some groups naturally are better, at work from work. So let's bring that back. So I think you have to figure out where certain groups need to work, and then I think standardize on your equipment, your cloud, all your security around that, and then be ready to go 100% again, because it could come again, right?
Right.
And then I think the other thing is, do you use technologies or services like Amazon long term, because long term it could become expensive, as opposed to buying, it's the CapEx versus the OpEx
right
debate, right? So it all depends on your company too. So we have to go through that, but you have to tighten down everything. So right now we're on a VPN. Should that be a permanent circuit? I think Amazon calls it Direct Connect. I think Azure calls it Express Route. I think you have to get those things in place. I think for us, I think we should do both, because we're going to use both clouds for different use cases or different situations. I think you have to really look at your firewall capability, your VPN capability. How do you extend licenses and burst licenses and all those things? I think you really have to think about it as I have, if you spread out, right now I have 4,500 offices instead of just having 9, right?
Right.
I got all these people, dispersed. The other thing is the exfiltration of information. A lot of people probably, I don't know this for a fact, but I could, assume across all industries is that a lot of people took home paper files, things like that, and now you might have confidential customer, information out there, maybe contracts or things that are out. The door's open, the barn door's open, the horses are gone. And now you got to go and find out what's going on. So I think it's an excellent thing. We always talked about this as our business continuity plan. You used to say at one time we could reserve 5 floors in some building someplace if we needed it, right?
Yeah.
So that thinking is like dinosaur
That's gone
now, right? That's old. You can't do that anymore. So work from home is the way to go. We just have to come up with the most cost-effective, standard way, the most secure way to do it. And what I tell my executives is, we did it. It's not perfect, and we're going to try to make it better. But it takes a while. But but I tell you what, a plug for Amazon. If we didn't have Amazon, I don't know what we would have done.
Yeah, yeah.
We actually would have sent out unencrypted desktops to
Yikes.
businesses.
Yeah, that's it's definitely fortunate that Amazon was there because not just you, it saved a lot of people. Saved a lot of people.
Totally.
And that's another story is that, before we even got into this with Amazon, we had about 1,000 students using Amazon Workspaces.
Mm-hmm.
We had to get approval to use Amazon Workspaces. We asked for 3,000, and they approved us for 1,800. And we were waiting for that. And there was like almost a debate, are we even going to get it? Because it was the toilet paper run.
Yeah.
Amazon was run. And you couldn't even get to your Amazon architect.
So just to be clear, you had to get approval from Amazon to get those out there. Yeah,
because they need to know, you have to justify your usage and what you're doing with it.
Wow. And that was just because of COVID, not prior to that.
No, like that's everything. So when you go and procure a large segment of workspaces, they have to do their architecture. So they have to understand like what you're doing with it.
Gotcha.
And do they need to procure additional equipment, and what's the data center that it should go into? So I learned a lot about Amazon. So certain Amazon data centers can do Windows 10 in a native fashion, and some can't.
Interesting.
It's like it runs on Windows Server 2016 with a Windows 10 face.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that changes your applications because some applications don't run on Windows Server.
Yeah.
So we didn't know that, so we learned it, but we got approval for our 3,000.
Yeah, wow,
and that's another thing that we were using Amazon Workspaces for quite a long time with our students, and that helped us get the 3,000 approved. But once we got that approved, I felt a lot better.
Oh yeah,
I did. I mean, I think I started crying.
Well, so
Sandish knows I'm a big baby anyway.
So, like when we're, we've been talking about, like what we've kind of learned from all this, but, looking forward, outside of COVID-19 and, endless stream of crisis, what do you think, the world looks like going forward now? I mean, obviously we've proved the importance of agility in things, and we've, and we've proved out the importance of having access to good online resources and things like that. How do you see this growing? Where do you see this ending up?
Well, from 95% of our business is an online environment. Anyway.
So you guys are really prepared for this in the first place.
From a student and faculty perspective, yes. From a staff perspective, one could say no, but then you look at it, we got it done in 4 days. You probably could say, well, it wasn't that hard, right? But I think it's kind of what I just said was you have to have work from home as part of your delivery.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at it as an opportunity, because now we can recruit from 50 states rather than 4 states.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
I can draw from admissions advisors from across the country.
Yeah, that's huge.
Financial aid advisors. Now I can do shifts differently. This is huge.
Yeah.
So we have part of our business. We can't cold call, so we have to respond to a student or a prospective student that shows interest.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a team that responds when there's interest to qualify to make sure that the student is really interested, and then we get that student to the appropriate advisor to help them in their admissions process. Well, that a lot of times was an 8-hour shift, right? And depending on, they started at 7 in the morning, which is a big time, but at night when it's really busy, they couldn't work. You can work from 7 to 11, and then from, your kids come home from school, you can feed them dinner, and then you can get on from 7 to 9.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
And so that's a really exciting potential. So work from home is now a tool. It's always been a tool for knowledge workers, right? Because they always had a laptop, a VPN. They traveled a lot. That was kind of like now for your frontline employees in that's doing the work.
Yeah.
Now they can work from home or work 4 days from home or 3 days from home.
Yeah.
So I think for those that are in commercial real estate, I don't know what the future looks like, but again, some teams work better when they're together.
Yeah,
it's just the way it is. The other thing is I think technology has a huge implication on the medical community and on the public healthcare system.
Yeah.
AI, all the data mining to get a vaccine. I mean, you hear all these stories about how these tool sets are speeding up the identification of potential vaccines. It'll be very interesting to see how that. I think they said with I don't know if it was the last SARS or MERS. It took them 5 years to get a vaccine into the public. They said if they could do it now in 18 months for COVID, that would be a miracle. But I know just the past week they have a couple being tested in the wild, in public.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But that's an accelerator of technology, and plus, I think technology can really help logistics. I think a company like Amazon, who is very good at logistics, could help FEMA coordinate responses. Using technology, robotics, whatever, to get the right equipment, the right PPE, the right medicine, the right ventilator load to the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Logistics is a big deal. It's definitely a big deal.
Right.
I think it's really interesting what you said there, though. It's like this crisis kind of accelerated your move to work from home, but that really delivers tremendous top line value to your business. So it's kind of interesting how sometimes out of crisis, great things happen, right?
Yeah, and it's not perfect yet. I'll be the first to say, but to the credit of my business partners, I couldn't have done it without them. One, it is the attitude of everybody in the company was excellent. There was not a problem. There was no ego. Everybody was on the same page, and that all comes from the tone at the top, from our boss. So nobody, even today, everybody's like, the technology is working great. There's one-off things, but we'll just deal with it. And there's no finger pointing at all.
That's
The
awesome.
magic. That's the magic of the whole thing. And sometimes when you watch these press conferences on TV, you're wondering, like, hey, we don't need that. So,
no doubt.
Yeah. Well, hey, congratulations on your response, and congratulations on putting together an amazing team and really doing some incredibly cool and transformative stuff, man. I applaud you.
Thank you.
So, Dave, great information, great conversation. Really, really appreciate you coming on. Really appreciate you in general. Thanks so much for doing this. I think people are going to get a lot of value out of it. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much for the invite. It was fun.
Yeah, anytime, man. Maybe we'll check back in later and see what happened and when this is all over.
Sounds good.
So that's it. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get notifications when we post new content. And I will see you in the next video.